Barrasso, chairman of the Republican Policy Committee, is out with a new op-ed. It's entitled Beginning of the End of Obamacare. He joins us now from Washington. I've seen a lot written in the last couple of days, Senator, and one of the things is that there is sort of a media sacred cow right now that Obamacare has given the insurance to 10 million people that never had it before, and that it's absolutely been a huge success. And no one really wants to look at any of the actual details. How many already had, already had insurance and now have Obamacare? How many are losing it as these co-ops shut down? And how poor this year's going to be? They're going to add 1 million. We're supposed to be at 20 million. We're only going to get from 9 to 10 this year. I mean, it's hard to trumpet this as an unmitigated success, is it not?
Well, you're absolutely right, Joe. There's still 32 million uninsured in America. 700,000 Americans have just lost their insurance because of the failure of the co-ops. About half of the co-ops that have been set up under Obamacare have fallen apart. The one in New York, they're not even going to be allowed to sell insurance, and they have to shut down December 1st. So people are really scrambling. 200,000 in your home state there in New York. But the reason that people aren't signing up is because of the cost, which is so high, and the confusion about the health care law itself. People are realizing that they're really not getting a good deal for their own money. And even those that buy the cheapest plans, they're looking at huge deductibles, over $5,000. So even though they have insurance, as the president talks about, it's not something that they can afford even with the insurance card.
And there's always a false choice presented that, well, no one with pre-existing conditions would have insurance if it wasn't for Obamacare. When all of the other remedies that were bipartisan at that point were addressing the pre-existing condition need, and that would have been taken care of without this huge, unwieldy program.
Well, you're absolutely right. There's been this incredible upheaval of the whole healthcare system in America, when we could have helped the people with pre-existing conditions in a way that didn't hurt so many other Americans who have noticed their premiums going up, their choices going down, losing their doctors, their hospitals closing. Over 50 hospitals have closed since Obamacare came into play. Those are in rural Americas. That has a huge impact on the communities there. So a law that the president has said is supposed to make things better for everybody, and everybody will be covered, has fallen woefully short. The president has said, hey, it's working better than I thought. I know in my home state of Wyoming, on the exchange, people have one choice, only one. So choices are going down around the country, and Americans are suffering sticker shock as they go onto the exchange. The cheapest policies are up 13% on average. We're looking at double-digit increases. That's why Americans are moving away from this, and why it continues to be so unpopular.
Right. Well, I keep hearing about, people just don't know what's good for them when it's, stuck down at 35% approval that, you need to take your medicine. But so let's say a Republican, just for argument's sake, let's say a Republican gets elected and that there's, cooperation in Congress if the GOP controls that. Is there a viable replacement in a way that you can take the 9 or 10 million people that now have insurance? Would they lose insurance, or is there a program existing or proposed by Republicans that would, allow those people to stay in the insured ranks?
Well, obviously that's something that the presidential candidates are talking about, their own best ideas. But I've proposed for several years now the state health care choice approach, which says if California and New York want to keep what they have, that's fine. But if Wyoming and Texas want to get out of it, let those states decide if the mandates should apply. And I don't think they should apply anywhere. The mandates that you have to buy insurance and that you have to buy a government-approved policy. I think that we ought to be able to, as individuals, to make a decision about what's best for us and our families, and buy insurance that works for us and our needs, not Washington's one-size-fits-all telling us what those needs are.
The Medicaid genie is out of the bottle, isn't it? There's no putting that, I got a lot of metaphors, there's no putting that toothpaste back in the tube, is there? That we've expanded Medicaid with grants from the federal government in all the states, and those people are going to stay on Medicaid, right?
Well, I've been in the state legislature in Wyoming where we dealt with Medicaid. We always felt that if we had more control at home in our own state, we could do a much better job of getting better care, more coverage for individuals, and helping them with their actual health care needs than when Washington comes in and tells us how to do it. I'd much rather see the states make those decisions with regard to Medicaid with the conditions on the ground in their own states, with what's available in terms of health care facilities and what the people actually need, rather than Washington say the best way to do it. But, Joe, we've seen from before with Medicaid, Washington continued to ratchet down how much money went to the states, so the states had to put in more, which meant there was less money for schools, for teachers, for fire services, for police. All of those things actually took money away.
It looked good at the outset, but that's what everyone worried about. What happens when, you know, the federal funds start drying up? One last question quickly. I've seen some scuttlebutt that the climate Paris talks, that the president is going to try to enter into a treaty that the Senate has no say in. And normally Kyoto or other treaties in the past have to go through the Senate. Is he going to go around the Senate this time in Paris? And if so, are any of the agreements enforceable? It makes it an unenforceable agreement, doesn't it?
Well, the president is trying as hard as he can, once again, to bypass the elected representative of the people. I expect he's going to try to do that in Paris. He's promised $3 billion of taxpayer money, and that really is the linchpin of that whole process. And I'm just here to tell the president today, and to people that want to get that money, that, hey, don't cash these checks. We're going to have something to say about it. And, you know, the president is known for making bad deals, and my worry is here he's going to make another bad deal. The one he made on the climate with China says that China can continue to increase emissions all the way till 2030, where the U.S. has to do all these cuts by 2025. The concessions that we're making and the cost to us and our economy are much greater and much more real than what China will ever do, and the president needs to realize that and recognize it.
All right, Senator John Barrasso, Dr. Barrasso, thank you.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you around. Thank you.